Welcome back. So you've been a responsible saver and now it's time to retire. Well, the real question is, how much of your retirement funds are you actually going to keep? When it comes to tax time and what you'll have to pay, it can be pretty rude, the awakening, when it comes to that time. Now, here with a warning is registered investment advisor, fiduciary, and certified estate planner with Premier Retirement, Jeff Vogan. Jeff, nice to have you back here.
It's always good to be here.
Definitely. I mean, you've been on a couple times covering many different topics, of course, helping people retire and stay that way, as you put it. How do you do that differently than other firms?
Well, the main thing I think is just we're comprehensive. I just got reminded of just how important that is this week when a person came in, a prospective client was coming in kind of kicking the tires around different firms and said, wow, I didn't know we could do all this here. I didn't know there was a place we could come and do our estate planning and our tax planning and our financial planning and our investment planning all under the same roof. But I don't understand how other firms can't do that, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because don't they all dovetail together? Shouldn't you? One has to talk to the other, and they have to make sense together.
Well, it's all about that comprehensive view of the areas that people have to focus on, right? Sure. And you say, besides investments, there are other key areas that they really have to think about. What are those? Well,
as you transition from retirement accumulation into retirement, living through retirement, the same strategies that get you there may not get you through it.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of change your focus. Risk management becomes a lot more important on the investment side of things. People have to invest based on their own values, based on what their goals are. And then they have to develop an income plan. And an income plan is the second part of that. And a lot of the typical Wall Street firms that talk about, don't really talk about income, they just talk about a withdrawal rate.
Right.
And after the investments correlate with an income plan, then there's that tax component, which I want to talk about a little bit more because that's becoming a little more popular. And a lot of people don't realize that the biggest expense they have in retirement is in fact taxes. And the last two are health care, which most people think might be the most devastating, and could be. Health care, long-term care, those are extremely, can be big expenses and devastating to a financial plan. And then lastly, there's the estate plan. What do you do with what you have? How do you give it to who you want, how you want, with the least amount of trouble in taxes and stuff?
Well, and speaking of devastating too, when it comes to time for retirement, the tax time bomb, as you put it. What exactly is that, and why should people be afraid of it?
Well, the biggest tax time bomb I see are really to those who are most responsible. The people that have saved well, that have put away money, have sacrificed during their earnings years to put away in their 401ks, they've maxed out their retirement income or their retirement savings. They get to maybe a big number. Maybe it's $500,000, maybe it's $1 million, maybe it's millions of dollars. And then they then they go into retirement. They learn to live on a budget because they've already done that on their own. They have this nice big fat savings account. And then the IRS tells them when they're 70.5 years old that they have to take a certain amount of that out, whether they need it or not. That could force them in, and often it forces them into a higher tax bracket. And most people who think they're going to be in a lower tax bracket when they retire get that blindside kick upside the head that says, oh my gosh. And what's even worse about that is it starts out at a pretty hefty percentage of your retirement income or your retirement account or your qualified accounts, 401ks, IRAs, but it gets bigger the older you get. So your tax situation actually continues to get worse.
So it's kind of the opposite of what people logically think is going to happen. All of a sudden they're in a higher tax bracket than in a lower.
And it's forced upon them.
Right.
In many cases, you've saved that money at a lower tax bracket and you end up taking it out later at a higher tax bracket. So tax planning becomes very imperative.
But you say the key to this is tax preparation versus tax planning. What does that mean?
Well, it's actually tax planning versus tax preparation, if you don't mind me flipping that.
Sure.
Tax preparation is what your CPA does. They're really good at finding all the deductions you can get right now. Like, what can we deduct right now without many times, and I'm not trying to dog on the CPA profession, they're certainly really good at what they do, but they're great at preparing taxes, preparing returns, and explaining what you owe this year, but many times don't do that forward-looking aspect. Right now, tax rates are lower because of the new Trump tax plan. For 8 years, there's an opportunity for people to transfer money maybe from qualified plans at a lower tax bracket into something that's not taxable, like a Roth IRA, or like an investment plan we call a LERP, and not pay taxes later when taxes go back up. So there's windows of opportunity that people can take advantage of right now like they've never been able to do before. And people need to be aware of that, and we try to make them aware of it.
Well, and if folks are watching and listening, and it's all kind of, Greek to them, what you're saying, certainly to me it is, that's why you hire an expert, right? That's the idea, is you have these strategies. That's what you do. You speak this language. So what other strategies do you use to help people better prepare? I know you brought a checklist, for example. That's just one of them.
Well, and that checklist is really the 10-point checklist of things that you really need to do to prepare for retirement and get through retirement. So whether you're 5 years out or whether you're 5 years into retirement, this checklist this will be a valuable tool, and we'd certainly love for any of the viewers to call in and get that from us. Number 8 is where it really drills down on the tax planning.
Yeah.
And I think that's really I think more people are aware of that because of the new tax rules. That seems to be kind of the hot topic today, is how can I minimize my taxes so that I can keep more in my pocket, use more in my retirement, and pass on more to my heirs?
The more resources the more resources you have, the better. And of course, to have an expert on your side is always very helpful. So as always, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate being here. Thank you for having me.
Now, if you want to learn how you could legally save thousands of dollars in taxes on your retirement accounts, be one of the first 10 callers to get your free tax strategies for retirement plan. Call right now. It's 520-217-8588. Again, that number is 520-217-8588.